Hi, thank you for visiting my RC channel. My name is Bill and I'm an RC radio control enthusiast, and I also do RC reviews. Thank you for joining me for this review of this Emax Tinyhawk S 75mm 1 and 2 cell micro FPV racing drone, supplied courtesy of Geekbuying.com to review and share with you. Comes in this nice soft case with a zip, foam padding for protection, in this black color, with a 1-cell battery, and also a 2-cell battery. We also get this little packet that has a tiny star Phillips screwdriver in, spare battery connector, some spare rubber bands to secure the battery, and some spare screws. We also get 4 spare propellers, always good to have spare propellers. And we get this warning: when plugging in a 2S LiPo, set the Tinyhawk S on PID profile 2 and rate profile 2, because profile 1 is tuned for 1S LiPos and the drone will lose control on 2S. We also get an instruction manual, these Emax stickers or decals, and we also get this USB battery charging board that charges a 1S and 2S battery. And using the board to charge the battery, plug into a maximum 5-volt output USB source. You can plug the 1-cell battery into the MCX connections here, and a green light goes on while it's charging. The 2-cell battery, plug into these 3-pin ports here. Green light also comes on while charging, and you can actually charge the 1-cell and 2-cell battery simultaneously. And when the battery is fully charged, the light goes off and one can just unplug. So made with polypropylene. This actually seems to be made with a stronger material than this. This also has better reinforced and stronger struts than this. We look at the battery bay. This is a fixed battery bay, and this uses rubber bands, which I'm very pleased to see, which gives you better versatility using batteries and also accommodates the 2-cell battery. This also has smaller brushless motors with a higher RPM, and these brushless motors are 0802 15,500 kV versus 15,000 kV on this. And I'm also pleased to see that the camera is more secure. I had to use this hood to secure the camera better on this one. And this also has a dual slot, so you can adjust the camera to a better upward angle, but to do that you would need to remove the board underneath and then slot it into the second slot. And this should also have a 20% increased flying time due to better efficiency of these motors. Comes with a Matic F411 FC flight controller board, 5 amp 4-in-1 ESCs. The camera is a 600 TVL camera, a CMOS camera. Get a protective cap on it here too. And the VTX on this is a 37 channel 25 milliwatt VTX, and hopefully will be a bit more reliable than its predecessor too. The weight is 42 grams with a 1-cell battery. And only 44 grams with a 2-cell battery. Plug and play motors, easy to change out motors. Got a bind button conveniently situated right here, and access to the micro USB port to plug into Betaflight. These props are push on and pull off, and you need to make sure they're properly aligned to secure on properly with these 3 guides. And these props are quite durable but can crack, and these 4x8 props allow anti-turtle mode, so if it lands upside down it can flip over upright using a switch and the sticks on your radio controller. The user manual, a little bit small to read, but covers the main details, specifications, propeller direction and mounting, using the button to change the VTX channels, and it's better done changing it via Betaflight. Got the flight controller diagram, the Emax onboard receiver, and this only comes with a FR-SKY D8 receiver. Flight controller, explaining the profiles and the PIDs, radio stick controls, and starting it all up. So let me just connect it to Betaflight. But first of all, I want to bind to my FR-SKY radio controller. So I've got the model set up on mode D8 and ready to bind. And as mentioned earlier, this is actually not the bind button. This is the button to change the VTX band and channels. So underneath here, you need to remove 3 screws, move this across, and although a bit of a bind, if you'll pardon the pun, this is the bind button over here. Or you could use something thin and flat and get in just under here, there's not much space, and press the bind button down this way. So I need to power it on first. Hold down the bind button for at least 2 seconds. 1001, 1002. And if I have a look here, should be ready to bind. I press bind here. Stop the bind process. Disconnect the battery. And this is a bound. I will reconnect the battery. Telemetry recovered. can see a solid blue light over here. So this is connected to Betaflight, and the first thing that's always good to do is do a backup. You click here and back up this file, and go to CLI and back up the CLI as well. If you don't know how to do this, there's a lot of information available on the internet. Just search for how to back up CLI so that you can back up the default settings if you need to restore at a later stage. We have a look at ports. We've got it enabled on USB VCP, and on UR2 we've got the VTX TBS Smart Audio. Look at configuration. We've got D-Shot 600. The motors are set to spin up when armed, which is a good thing, particularly if you want to use anti-turtle mode. Got accelerometer enabled. Craft name, Tinyhawk S. Receiver, it's SPI RX support and FR Sky D for 8 channels. Then we got air mode enabled here, OSD, anti-gravity dynamic filter. Look at power and battery. The minimum cell voltage set on 2.9, maximum 4.5, and warning cell voltage 3.2. Failsafe set to drop. Now if we have a look at the PIDs, we've got profile 1 and rate profile 1, and these are the default PIDs. But if you want to fly using the 2-cell battery, need to change this to profile 2 and rate profile 2, which is different. So I'm going to test it with a 1-cell battery first, so I'm going to leave this on rate profile 1. But double check, it could be set onto rate profile 2 by default as well. Look at receiver, set on TAER 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got throttle, I've got yaw, I've got pitch, and I've got roll. Look at modes. Now I've set this up, so arm disarm on auxiliary 1. Then my speed on auxiliary 2. Got angle in the lower one, angle in the higher one there. Horizon in the middle. Beeper on auxiliary 3. Which is fine. And flip over after crash on auxiliary 4. So with the speeds on the first position, I think it'll just be in stable mode, 2 into horizon, and 3 into angle. I'll see how that goes. Motors all look fine. Now OSD, don't have an RSSI value enabled. Main battery voltage, which is over here. Timer 2, which is fly time over here. I'm going to enable fly mode, and I'm going to move it down above the battery level here. I like seeing VTX channel displayed. I'm going to enable warnings and move it over here. click on save. And leave it on those settings for now. And we go and have a look at the CLI. And I type in dump. And look at the top. We can see that the target is Matic F411RX version 4, dated April the 11th, 2019. And while I'm here, I'm going to set my band and channel. So I type in get VTX and enter. Now I can see that the VTX band is band 5 and the VTX channel 4. I normally fly on F4, so channel 4 is fine, but I want to change the VTX band to 4 as well. So I just type in set space VTX underscore band space equal space 4 and enter, and then type in save and enter. And then after making changes, it's good to back up the CLI again, and then also back up with the backup that I showed you in the beginning. And let's have a look at the OSD menu. So on the radio controller, center both sticks, pull left stick to the left, this one to the top. And you'll see the menu come up. And using the right stick, press to the right and you can see profiles. Now you can see this is in print profile 2. So you can change print profiles to put 1, 2, 3 here. So you don't have to plug it into Betaflight or computer to change the PIDs. I'm going to put it on to print profile 1. Look at PID. You can see the settings here. And you can change it here too. And go back. Miscellaneous PP. Yeah, you can set these settings here. Full PP, rate profile 2, 3. You can change it, put rate profile to 1. We look at rates, so you can change the rates here. Look at features, a black box, change VTX, bands and channels here. You can see this is band Fat Shark. I want it on channel 4, frequency 5800, power is 25 milliwatts, set, confirm yes, telemetry lost, and go to configuration. OSD, you can choose your OSD settings here as well. Timers, alarms, inverts, black, white, back. FC, FW info. See the target here. Matic F411R, miscellaneous settings. Okay. Go save and reboot.
Telemetry lost. Telemetry recovered.
So this is the menu for the OSD settings. And now let's see how it performs. So this was a flight with a 1-cell battery using rate profile 1. Horizon and air modes didn't respond too well to turns, so it could possibly still be tweaked for close flying indoors, but a 4-minute 45-second flying time good on the 1-cell battery. Now this was with the rate profile 2 and a 2-cell battery, and it was very twitchy and responsive, probably a little bit too responsive on the throttle. I made a few changes to the rates, and here are the rates that we changed to. And it went better with the 2-cell battery on these rates, but a 2-cell is quite powerful on this. And let's see how it goes outdoors. Okay, a little bit of a breeze pushing it to the left there. Otherwise holding okay. Goes nicely, a little bit difficult to keep line of sight orientation. And this was just a sample flight, flying with a 1S outdoors. Did fly nicely, respond well. And let's just have a little rip with the 2-cell battery. Okay, I can feel the extra power. Goes one to go, got a very strong pitch on it. We're maneuvering well despite a breeze.
RF signal critical.
A low signal warning for some reason, and it's close by. But responding nicely, maneuvering well in open space. Going well. Some video there. Feel the power with the 2S, which is nice. Okay, getting low battery warning now. Let me bring it in. And nice to fly the 2S outdoors in a bit more open space. Did respond really well and fly nicely. Just found that the camera is a bit blurry outdoors. And a flying time of 3.5 minutes on the 2-cell battery. So overall, it's still great to fly. Flies well. I like the changes that have been made. But critical things like the rate profiles will need to be tweaked. So Emax hasn't made any improvements in this respect. And I also can't say that the VTX and the camera is any better than its predecessor. And this is also quite important for flying FPV. So I wouldn't really recommend this for beginners, because you probably will need to experiment and change rates and profiles. So please subscribe, like, comment and share if you like my videos.